Welcome back to the Kosi Yesterday channel. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. We have some big news on Thomas Partey. He will be ready for Madrid on Wednesday as we travel to Spain. He's going to be there, and that is important for us as we look to traverse through to the semi-finals. We are also going to be talking about Ryan Taylor's report that Arsenal are focusing on two central midfielders. Martin Zubimendi, definitely one of them, but they want another central midfielder this summer. Dani Ceballos has said that we are going to try and beat Arsenal in the first 15 to 20 minutes. They're going to be important, and if we can get some good results, 15 to 20 minutes on Wednesday, the game will be surely on. We'll be talking about the Madrid optimism. There's so many people out there that believe that Madrid have a chance against Arsenal. Yet, do we, do we think Madrid can still go through? We'll talk about that. And Gary Neville thinks somehow Arsenal are moving backwards, given the evidence this campaign. He says when you look at them this campaign, Arsenal are going backwards. But is this true? Is it true that Arsenal are going backwards? Or is it Gary Neville just looking at results and it's like they're just going backwards, right? Has he missed some important key points? We'll talk about that. And of course, Liam Delap, 30 million, not linked with Arsenal in any way, but he's one of those strikers that, have lit up the Premier League. Very, very interesting player. I won't be surprised if a club like Aston Villa or Brighton went to sign Liam Delap from Ipswich. It's going to cost 30 million. Should Arsenal look into that direction? Do you like him? Let me know in the comment box below. But let's start off with the Thomas Partey update. Thomas Partey has not suffered any significant damage, and he will be okay to play for Arsenal on Wednesday against Real Madrid. That is such a relief. He's one of the players that had a beautiful performance against Real Madrid. Absolutely beautiful performance. And guys, let's talk about his season. Let's give him the credit that he deserves. He's had a wonderful season. 9 games he has played at right back, and the rest of the games he's played in central midfield. And he's been absolutely reliable, and he's been relative to Arsenal performances as well. But why, for me, I think that Partey needs to be there in Madrid, needs to be there at the Santiago Bernabeu. They are going to press every single drop we have. It's either blood, it's either water. They will squeeze it out of us. And you need players that have got the experience with dealing with such pressure, dealing with such high momentum games. But also, you need players that are reliable, players that are durable, players that are press resistant, players that are not just going to break down simply because we are in Madrid and we're playing in the Santiago Bernabeu. Now, Partey has played there before with Atletico Madrid. Madrid used to go to the Wanda Metropolitano, and Partey was there, and Partey also used to visit the Santiago Bernabeu with ATM, and everything used to go according to plan. So this is a guy I would really want to be part of the team as we go to Madrid. He's such an important cog in our machine. He's such an important player for us. I don't think Arsenal would be confident. I don't think Arsenal would be, safe in terms of the psychology if we went in that game without Partey or Declan Rice or Martin Odegaard or Saka or William Saliba. They're those players that he's part of the team and is going to lead his entire zone. Odegaard, Rice, and Partey, they will lead the midfield. The midfield is okay with those guys in. And if you have Timber and William Saliba, the back line is there with David Raya shouting commands. And then up top, Bukayo Saka leading the front line. So you can't miss Partey. So we are getting an update that wasn't something significant. Obviously, yesterday, there were already traces of optimism that Partey had talked to reporters, and that meant that he was okay. I mean, players that are heavily damaged, wounded, wouldn't really talk to reporters. By the time you're really injured and it's a bad injury, you're forced into the doctor's room as quickly and early as possible. So Thomas Partey, if Mikel Arteta gives us an update again, I'll let you know. But the early reports are positive. Partey is ready for Real Madrid. Now, talking about Real Madrid, Dani Ceballos, ex-Arsenal player, of course on loan from Real Madrid on 2 spells, has talked about the game on Wednesday, and he has said we need to believe and our fans need to believe as well. But it's going to be the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes that matter. If we can beat Arsenal within the first 15 to 20 minutes, then the game is going to go out and turn around. But if we can do that, then possibly it's over. And I've seen a couple of people that have a lot of optimism around Real Madrid, and I understand why. And I want to ask you, do you think that Arsenal are under pressure in this game? Do you think that Madrid will come back? What is the feeling you have around this game? First and foremost, I want to start with the Dani Ceballos comments. And I agree. If I was Arsenal and we have a 3-0 deficit against any club in a 2-leg tie, the next leg starts on minute 1. And in the first 15 minutes, if you don't have a goal, in the first 20 minutes, if you don't have a goal, in the first 20 minutes, if they have been better than you, if in the first 20 minutes, if you've not shown signs of being the better team, signs of aggressiveness, signs of ambition, then the tie has been decided and it's over. A few people feel the tie was decided at the Emirates. I actually don't think so. When I think about the goals that Arsenal scored in that game, you could score those goals, right? But I'm feeling that this was a Madrid side that was there to be beaten. And what do we know about us in this season? If you're there to be beaten, they will wallop you. PSV 7, Manchester City 5, right? They will wallop you. It's an Arsenal team that doesn't have a very good attack, but they're devastating to laziness. If you portray laziness, if you portray any times of being lethargic, they will rip you apart. And that's what we saw at the Emirates Stadium the other night. Madrid came, they were, I don't know, they were absolutely disgustingly bad. And Arsenal say, okay, 3 goals for you, and maybe you wake up. So I think they've had the wake-up call. The alarm bells have been sounded, and we are going to be in for a big treat. I agree with Dani Ceballos. And I respect his opinion, because he doesn't say within 15 minutes Arsenal will be finished, or within 20 minutes Arsenal will be finished. But he says, listen, if you're Madrid, our first 15 minutes are going to be very, very important, and they're going to be very key. You either agree that the first 15 minutes are the ones that are going to give us an edge in that tie, or they're the ones that are going to break us. And for me, if I'm Arsenal, if you're Mikel Arteta, the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes can be handled in only 2 ways. One, you take the game to Real Madrid in the first 20 minutes. It doesn't even matter if you get a goal. I think the first 20 minutes of this game are about psychology. They're about, if Madrid are coming in this game thinking, we're going to put pressure on Arsenal, we're going to show them. And Arsenal come in this game and match Madrid's energy and just show them as well. Madrid show us, we show them. They punch, we punch. They we try to be equal to them in every metric, in every aspect of the game. They'll be like, okay, this is a behemoth of a team. Looks like we wait for next season. But if we sit back and allow pressure to, invite pressure on us, allow Madrid to come onto us, thinking we shall catch them on the break, we can catch them on the break. But psychologically, that will do a lot of damage to our players in the first 20 minutes. And 2 goals in the first half. Madrid are always going to score 1 more goal in the second half. Maybe it goes to extra time, and it is devastating, right? So this game, for me, it's a mental game. It's a psychology game, right? If Arsenal go to the extra 30 minutes, right? Extra time, Madrid will go through, because this is the thing. For Madrid to go, they'll have to beat us 4-1 or 3 goals to 0. They'll have the advantage. The adrenaline will be coursing through their veins, and they'll be feeling high, and our spirits will be down. First and foremost, we'll be blaming ourselves. We've given away an important lead. We've given away a huge lead. Secondly, we shall be losing, and we shall be losing our heads, right? If you remember the UEFA Champions League final, Atletico Madrid versus Madrid, I think Atletico Madrid lead a goal to 0, the first one. They lead a goal to 0 for quite some time. And then towards the end of the game, Sergio Ramos finds the equalizer. And they go on to annihilate and obliterate Atletico Madrid. And that's the thing I'm talking about. Like, if you hold on to a margin so closely, and that margin is taken away in the last in the last few minutes of the game, the other team, which is Madrid, is going to be encouraged. They're going to be encouraged by their victory, and they're going to continue pounding and pounding and pounding and taking shots and and getting hits after hits. And then you Arsenal or Atletico Madrid, you're literally in a position where you're demoralized. So we can't afford that. So the second way Mikel can do this is manage the game. And by managing the game, I don't mean sit back in a low block or sit back in a mid block. No. What I mean is come out, maybe don't match Madrid's energy because that might expose us at the back, but come to manage the game. Just go through the first 20 minutes, right? Yeah, maybe slow the tempo of the game down. That could help because Madrid are quite an explosive team. Just slow the tempo of the game down and just make sure that there is not a lot of damage you're receiving and they're not receiving a lot of damage themselves. Now, the optimism around this game in the Madrid ranks is high. People think that Arsenal are going to crumble because the Santiago Bernabeu is going to have its roof closed and maybe Madrid are the kings of comebacks. And it's true. Madrid in the Champions League, you can never write them off. Never, ever write off Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. We know they've got the ability to score 4, even if you're Manchester City, even if you're Bayern, even if whoever you are, they can score 4 against you. These guys have beaten Diego Simeone 4 goals before in a UEFA Champions League game. And we know that Simeone and his teams are very, very organized in terms of defensive work. But Madrid have come and said, we need 4, and they got 4, and they walked away with it. But the UEFA Champions League has also got this, what I would say, record of important, exciting, entertaining second legs, right? I remember there was a time Arsenal played AC Milan, and we lost the first round. I think, yeah, we lost the first round 4-1. 4-1. And we needed 4-0 to go through, right, at the Emirates Stadium. And by halftime, it was 3-0. Robin van Persie, I think Thomas Rosicky as well was on the score sheet. Can't remember the other person, maybe Aaron Ramsey, I think, right? And 3-0, it was at halftime. And everyone was thinking, well, Arsenal are going to go through. One more goal, and Arsenal are through. And what happened is that the other goal never came. The fourth goal never came. But that shows you how Champions League games can change. We know that Barcelona have ever changed a result against unimaginable odds against PSG. So Madrid are not to be written off at this point. But of course, we'll talk about the Madrid game in my next video. So Gary Neville, after the Arsenal-Brentford draw 1-1, has said that Arsenal are going backwards. Now, for me, Arsenal going backwards, is Gary Neville having a point here that we need to discuss? Are we going backwards? In some aspects, yes. But I don't think as a team, we are going backwards. Like, I think Gary needs to understand that modern football right now, and I know he's a great pundit and I love him and he's a very, very controversial guy, but he needs to understand that with modern football, every aspect of the game is and can be analyzed independently, and that is what that's what football has become. Like, goalkeepers can be analyzed independently, defenses can be analyzed independently, and then midfields can be analyzed independently, and then attacks. I think what he's looking at here is an Arsenal side that have dropped significantly in terms of our firepower. That has gone backwards, right? Last season, Arsenal scored 90 goals. This season, we are on track for like 65 goals or 70 goals. That is like 20 goals less, right? Arsenal have dropped more points from losing positions, 16 points dropped from winning positions, as compared to our last 2 campaigns. Last campaign, we dropped 8 points, and the campaign before that, we dropped 9 points from winning positions. So if you look at that, and you ask yourself, why is this happening? We are simply not scoring enough goals. I think our defense is one of the best in the world, and everybody says Arsenal have a real chance in the Champions League because of their defense. I don't think our defense is going backwards. I don't think our midfield is going backwards. I think it's the attack that has let us down this season. And if Arsenal fix that, all of a sudden, the team will be back, back on track. But I want to do a whole video on Gary Neville's comments and why Arsenal, to some extent, have gone backwards, but we are still on track to what we... I mean, you're not in the semi-finals. Did I say semi-finals? You're not in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League with a 3-0 advantage against Real Madrid, and you're going backwards. Last season, we were at the Emirates Stadium drawing 2-2 with a bad Bayern side. So I don't think Arsenal going backwards. There are aspects that show progress, and there are aspects that show stagnation, and there are aspects that show that we've gone backwards, especially the attack. But we'll talk about that in a separate video. So in terms of transfers, Arsenal are looking at 2 central midfielders. This according to Ryan Taylor. They expect Martins Zubimendi to come in, but they will look at another. Now, central midfielders meaning it could be a defensive midfielder, it could be a box-to-box, or it could be an attacking midfielder. We know Mikel doesn't really fancy your typical number 10. So he's not going to sign a James Maddison, a Mesut Ozil. He's not going to bring in someone like that. But he will bring in someone who can actually do what he wants, right? Whatever that is. And then lastly, I want us to talk about Liam Delap. He's available for 30 million. I think it's a deal that Arsenal should look at, especially if we want to sign 2 strikers. I wouldn't take him as Arsenal's only striker, but I would take him as Arsenal's backup striker. So let me know in the comment box below.